of Ukraine association with the Gendarmerie and Police forces of Europe and the Mediterranean in the status of military institutions. Our speaker is press officer at the National Guard of Ukraine, Svitlana Pavlovska. Good afternoon. Dear colleagues, one of the main area of our effort in the framework of international cooperation is the prospect of entering of National Guard to FIEP. So this is a service of cooperation between Gendarmerie and Police forces, the structure of this organization. And I would like to tell you about this organization. FIEP started its work from 1994, and there were National Gendarmerie of France, also Police Force of Italy, France, and also Republican Guard of Portugal. So the first letters of the name of this country composed the abbreviation FIEP. And later, this association was joined by some European countries and Gendarmerie of Turkey, Romania, also Gendarmerie of Jordan, and also there are some countries that are observers and associated members. For example, observers are Gendarmerie of Tunisia and Qatar. And we are speaking about cooperation of National Guard of Ukraine and European partners in order to solve all necessary issues in the completion of military tasks in emergency situations. And there are some crises that arise, and there should be common approaches to solving the problems. What to do in order to prevent these crises, and how to prepare personnel to carry out the military tasks in the framework of these situations. So this is the spectrum of the tasks that is the tasks of FIEP. And we are speaking of the fact that the adherence to this organization has special order. So the state, this institution candidate of one or another state, they should apply first, and then the application is considered. And then they want to hear the representatives of the National Guard. We prepared an application and we applied, and at the beginning of this year, the representatives were the report was heard at the assembly, and our representatives represented the National Guard, and they told about training and also carrying out of military tasks, and also the specificity of the tasks of the National Guard of Ukraine as a military structure with law enforcement functions. And also there were some logistics matters, and also some military tasks and the use of modern technologies in this. The presentation was heard and assessed by the members of the association, and then in the meetings of High Council of Association, and the forces of police and Gendarmerie and Europe and the Mediterranean region, they took decision that there will be some missions sent. So according to the existing order, the mission that will assess the functions at site, and it will study all the issues and I told you about, and then they will present a report on the assessment, and this will be taken into account whether to accept the new candidate. And if this application by the National Guard, if it will be satisfied, if it is satisfied, so by the decision of the members of the association, then this institution will be accepted, and during the year it will be in the status of observer. So they will take part in all the meetings of this association, but they cannot vote. And after this yearly term, the members of the association, all the full-fledged members of the association, under condition of all the requirements are met, they take decision on whether to accept this institution as the member of association.
At what stage is the National Guard of Ukraine today? I would repeat that at the end of last year, we submitted an application about joining the Association of the National Guard and Gendarmerie Forces of the Western Europe and Mediterranean countries, and then the assessment mission had arrived to Kiev, which included Romanian, Italy, and French gendarmerie member, and Jordan. Currently, the Romanian gendarmerie chairs this organization, while the Jordania gendarmerie will take presidency next year. Though that group, assessment group, had prepared the list of questions to us, and recently during this their mission from March 28th to 1st April, they arrived again, and we discussed a set of issues, and Yuri mentioned that for us, it is an extremely important for us to get access to this international organization. The FIEP members familiarized themselves with the outputs of our twinning projects, which we carry out during some period of time. We have a long experience of cooperation with Italy and with Turkish gendarmerie, which is very similar to the Ukrainian National Guard. The last year also we have finished a rather long term project with Romanian gendarmerie, which allowed to strengthen the institutional capacity of Ukrainian National Guard in terms of training, in terms of informational area, in terms of communications, and in terms of military training, and also in terms of all sorts of supplies, including weaponry and equipment. All those aspects were discussed during that assessment mission. We have finalized those projects, and today we'll look at another opportunities to study the experience gained by the Gendarmerie and National Guard forces in Europe in result of the crisis situations. Also keeping in mind the latest terrorist events, that terrorist actions that took place recently. And in this context, representative of the European organization, FIEP, mentioned that we should take preventive measures and be able to prevent and do not allow the terrorist attacks happen, and also be able to respond very proactively in case of any accident. Our guests during the visit asked a lot of questions, especially about individual training of the men staff. Yeah. And to this question, we replied that besides the special faculty in the Ministry of the Interior, also we have here in Kiev we have the Academy of the National Guard, which provides training for officers. Besides that, we have a network of training centers near Novopetrivцы, near Zolochev, in Western region, in Lysitsk. Also today we are thinking and working on establishment of the International Training Center of the National Guard in Stare Village. We very closely cooperate with our international partners and train trainers who later will be instructors, acting as instructors for the newcomers to the National Guards. During joint exercises, the Guardian almost 2 years ago, jointly with the U.S. National Guards, we got precious experience, which we continue to spread inside the National Guards. Also, we are thinking about introduction of the rank of sergeants in the National Guard. Our colleagues asked us also a question about the gender policy within the National Guard, whether women have the right to occupy the same positions and ranks as the men. And we replied that today almost 2,000 of women who work as medical workers, financial officers, and document circulation staff. Of course, we do not allow women to go to the front line and to the combat situations, because our women, they are mothers, and we try to preserve mothers for the children. Of course, we have a lot of women among service staff, technical support staff, as cooks, as cleaners, and etc. We got positive response to this information from our partners, and they confirmed that similar approach is widely used in almost all countries of Europe. Also, we double-checked the standards for logistics operation. There are NATO standards which we gradually implement and establish in the National Guards. After several days of this mission's work, the delegation had an opportunity to look closely to the everyday life of our servicemen. They observed the everyday life, and the exercises carried out by team number 3039, which is one of the oldest teams of the National Guard in Ukraine. It was established back in 1964. That is, this unit is very experienced. Also, they visited the brigade on security of diplomatic rep offices. It was novelty for them to hear that that there is more than 100 such diplomatic objects which have to be protected. And for example, we demonstrated that in case of the conventional attack on the on one of the embassies, for example, the Iraqi embassy, we have shown the practical exercise how this attack could be responded and repelled, and we demonstrated the plan how we would act, and had shown this. Also, this official commission had visited the exercise field of the National Guard in Novopetrivtsi. They observed the military machinery, equipment, and also examined coordination with the Ministry of the Interior, and how the National Guard units coordinate with other law enforcement agencies and civilian sector agencies. They also observed the representation of the National Guard officers in the membership of any emergency situation groups. That is, we informed that in some specific situations of criminal emergency or war attack emergency, the special plans prescribe that the National Guard immediately will be subordinated either to the Ministry of Defense or to the Ministry of the Interior. The outputs and all the results of the commission group later will be summarized in the report, and on the basis of that report, the decision about access of Ukraine to the FIEP will be made. So, dear friends, I would like to inform you that this aspect, this international aspect, is one of the top priorities for the leadership of the National Guard. And by the way, we are not just striving to study the experience. We wish to learn this experience, to learn lessons upon it, and to organize trainings for our officers and servicemen based on that experience of overcoming crisis situations. The members of the FIEP delegation showed great interest in studying the combat experience of the National Guard servicemen. We believe that this experience and this exercise of mutual information exchange will be useful, and we will keep you informed about further activities in this area. Since there are no further questions, thank you very much. See you later. And the last briefing for today will be at 1:30 p.m. Thank you.